Welcome inside this edition of Big Ten Today, fueled by Gatorade. I'm your host, Rick Pizzo. We will catch up with Will Bolt of Nebraska baseball coming up in just a little bit and get you prepared for the Women's College World Series with both Oregon and UCLA still having a chance to win the national championship. But we are going to begin with some schedule details for Big Ten football teams. And to help us with that, welcome in Jerry DiNardo. Jerry, we always love this reveal because we get to see some early season slates and some fantastic non-conference matchups that are now just a few months away.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And when you talk about schedule, Rick, it's all about timing. And let's look at all of the schedules that we're going to talk about and see how it fits into the timing of either trying to compete for a national championship, again, trying to get to a first bowl game, or trying to continue to build a program. I love talking about schedules.
And you know what, Jerry? We see it, say it, and see it every year. Week one gets here quicker than you can ever imagine. Our big story is a big picture look at the Week 1 football schedule. 4 Thursday night games getting the season started, including a Big Ten Network doubleheader and a neutral site game for Nebraska inside Arrowhead Stadium. 2 more openers are set for Friday, while 5 of Saturday's 12 games can be seen right here on the Big Ten Network, including openers for Oregon, USC, and Washington. Fox also has a monster day with Texas and Ohio State kicking off in Columbus at noon Eastern, while UCLA plays host to Utah to help close out Week 1. Jerry, we have to start with that Texas-Ohio State game. Some 8 months after they meet in the college football playoff semifinals, they meet again inside the Horseshoe. I've spoken at length with Ryan Day and Ross Bjork, the AD at Ohio State, about this game. There are schools that are trying to shy away from matchups like this in the new college football playoff format. But I know you believe it's good for college football and that this is a really good game for Ohio State as they start the defense of a national title.
Again, Rick, let's talk about the theme of timing, right? Why is this a really good game for Ohio State? For this reason. They're the defending national champions. Remember, last year's theme on the team was national championship or bust. Not many teams ever say that early in the year and then follow through with it. So now you have a team coming off a national championship. I can remember Ryan Day saying after he won a national championship that the celebration ended until the confetti hit the field at the national championship game. They're expected to compete and win the national championship again by their fan base. So why is Texas a good thing? The players know at the end of camp they're not playing someone that is going to be a mismatch. They beat Texas last year. Texas has revenge. Ohio State understands how talented Texas is. So that impacts the way Ryan Day manages camp. Do you know, Rick, sometimes programs like Ohio State, if they have a weak non-conference opener, they cut back one scrimmage. What would ordinarily be their third or fourth scrimmage of camp, they don't do it. They make that game in-house. They never say anything. Their last scrimmage. This is entirely different. Is this a great way to get the attention of the Ohio State players who want to repeat? I think it's the perfect opener.
And something for us to look forward to for a couple of months. Ryan Day saying the exact same thing, saying that was part of the reason that he shied away from being non-physical in the spring. He really got after it with his team, saying they have to be ready for an opener like Texas. Let's now dive into the Week 2 slate, where you can see a Friday night Big Ten Network doubleheader that features Maryland and Northwestern. That leaves a sweet 16 games to be played on Week 2 Saturday. Among the 6 airing right here, you'll see Penn State, Minnesota, Ohio State, Nebraska, Purdue, and Washington. Fox has an early day broadcast of the Cy-Hawk rivalry, while a handful of other teams face key non-conference matchups. Illinois plays at Duke. Oregon welcomes Oklahoma State to Eugene. Michigan State is at home against BC, and Michigan travels to Oklahoma. Jerry, let's talk about some of those key non-conference dates, and let's start with Michigan, Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma wasn't great a year ago. They are supposed to be better this season, and it's also a road game for one of the most highly touted quarterbacks, a quarterback who is expected to take over the reins in Bryce Underwood.
Right. So let's look at the first 3 games because, again, scheduling is all about timing. So they're going to open up with a non-conference game that they're going to clearly win against New Mexico. Bryce Underwood, that'll be his first start. Watching him at spring practice, in spring game, he's not ready yet to be the Michigan starting quarterback. I think he will be, but New Mexico is a great game to open. Then they go to Oklahoma, which you've already told us, Rick. Oklahoma was 6-7 last year, Michigan 8-5. Both records not really where either of those programs want to be. But if you look at it through the eyes of the quarterback, Bryce Underwood going into a historic stadium at Oklahoma, he better bring the good defense. He better bring a really good kick game, and they have to bring good leadership from the older players on the team. So this game fits in perfectly for a young quarterback. And, it's just going to be interesting to watch Bryce develop as he goes through the first two games. After that, I think the schedule's fine for Michigan. And again, their goals are certainly not to be 8-5 this year.
And a night game in Norman, so you're going to get everything that Oklahoma crowd can provide. A similar situation for Oregon. You have a new quarterback as Dante Moore is one of the guys and the leading candidate to replace Dylan Gabriel, though Dan Lanning not naming a starter quite yet. Now, Oklahoma State is a good opponent. And again, like Oklahoma, they struggled a year ago. The better news, I guess, for Moore is that this game is at home, not on the road. I'm curious as to what your take is on this non-conference game and how it affects Oregon.
Yeah, I love this game. I love talking schedule, and I love this schedule. I mean, let's look at the first three one more time. This is a way that a team manages their preseason by looking early at the schedule. So we've got Montana State. Clearly, Oregon is favored in that game. Clearly, well, not so clearly, Dante Moore most likely will be the starting quarterback, right? Then they go to Oklahoma. Oklahoma State comes to them. Now, here's the problem in Oklahoma State. They are explosive offensively. So right away, the Oregon defense has got to be ready for an explosive offense. They will be an improved Oklahoma State team. If they can hold Oklahoma State down, then offensively, Dante Moore and the offense can continue to develop. Then they come back, and who do they play next?
They're on the road at Northwestern.
Oregon State. I'm sorry?
On the road at Northwestern, I believe, is their Week 3 game.
Right. And so that's a great first road game for the Big Ten. But then they play Oregon State. And this is really interesting. Because of the change of conferences, we have more teams that have a non-conference rivalry like Oregon State. Those are really tricky games. But if you look at the first four games of Oregon, they lay out pretty nicely for them.
I know you feel the same way about Illinois, a historically successful season last year for Brett Bielema. You lose some key pieces, but at quarterback, Luke Altmaier is back after taking a huge step, and that non-conference game against Duke should set up Illinois for what Brett Bielema hopes is a season that backs up what they did a year ago.
Yeah, and to me, Rick, this is a little different. This Illinois team, 10 wins last year, most of the team back, Luke Altmaier back, veteran team. Now they go into Duke. Duke's a good program. Playing Duke at Duke is not an easy non-conference game. But what I think we learned about Illinois, they have all the pieces back. It looks like they could be a playoff team. How mature do they look going into the Duke game? Are there few penalties? Are there no turnovers? Can they be balanced on offense? Can they be aggressive on defense? If we're going to say that they won 10 games last year, they have everybody back, they could be a playoff team. If we're going to say all that, which is all true, then they need to look better than the average team on the road against Duke to see if they're really, really serious about having a great year and getting into the playoff picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Cannot slip up there. Have to be 3-0 and likely in impressive fashion getting into Big Ten Conference play if they do want to be part of that conversation. And thanks to Gatorade Game Leaders, you can see no team in Big Ten baseball tournament history can match the current heater being enjoyed by the Huskers. Nebraska has won 9 straight tourney games, which also means back-to-back conference tournament titles and the automatic bids to the NCAAs that comes along with being crowned conference champs. Time for today's big interview as we say hello to Nebraska head coach Will Bolt. Will, before we get into regionals and what awaits you guys this weekend, I do want to look back on that tournament and what it means outside of just the auto bid to be able to claim a tournament championship like that in Omaha in front of so many Nebraska fans.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me on, and excited to to be playing another week of baseball. But yeah, just an awesome college baseball atmosphere, not just for us, but for every team that gets to play at Charles Schwab Field in Omaha, home of the College World Series. And yeah, just a great performance by our players to step up. We got a lot of guys that just seem to really see the ball well in the batter's box in that stadium, and some pitchers that feel really confident throwing on that mound. And of course, Husker Nation certainly just enhances all of that. We've had great crowds. I mean, 15,000 for the championship game. The crowds kind of got bigger and bigger as the week went along. And we certainly did it in a way that was very, very challenging, facing the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year in the first game, facing Grenzel, the left-hander that's the ace of the awesome Oregon Ducks staff, beating a really good Penn State team, and then finishing off against UCLA, a team that is obviously, a big-time contender to get back to Omaha, had swept us earlier in the year, and just the atmosphere that was there for that game, our fans helped provide. Really it was a boost for us to finish that thing off on Sunday.
So, Will, you mentioned the win over Oregon. That helped you claim the pool play win, and then the win over UCLA in the championship game. Those are top 16 national seeds. They were the co-regular season champs inside the Big Ten. To be able to go through that kind of gauntlet, how much confidence are your guys playing with right now?
Yeah, a lot of confidence, obviously. We kind of had a little bit of a topsy-turvy season, to say the least. Never were able to put together an extended winning streak. We never had a long losing streak either. Going into this tournament, we said, well, we're going to have our first 4-game winning streak of the year to win it. So guys are obviously playing with a lot of confidence right now. Like you said, and I said previously, just having those top opponents that we went through, and they have everything on the line to play for as well, just goes to show that we can play with anybody in the country. But I think we knew that going into the tournament. I know we knew that going into the tournament, just based on the top 30 schedule that we played this spring. It really helped prepare us for those moments. Our guys have been pretty battle tested, and we'll hopefully continue to take that into the regional play.
Certainly helps when you get a championship game performance like the one you got from starter Ty Horn. No question, the biggest afternoon of his college career, and what a showing. How do you describe what he did for you in that championship game?
Yeah, it's really hard to put it in perspective, just how good he was. Number one, the opponent, they had gotten after him out in Los Angeles early in the season. He had really gotten off to a tough start, but if you look back to his year, kind of his trajectory was a lot like our team's. His first 2 starts this year in our rotation were against Vanderbilt and LSU, and faced some really good opponents along the way. And his rise here in the last 6 or 7 weeks is really what's allowed us to win each and every weekend. And he's pitched better and better each week. He kind of had a little bit of a tough start on Tuesday against Michigan State. It's a little bit reminiscent of what we saw last season, where Brockett started the Tuesday game, didn't go great, and then rebounded on Sunday. I think Brockett was definitely helped propel him to be ready for that situation, because he had been there before. But Ty's done a lot of the legwork too, just to continue to improve as the season's gone along. Really, when his teams needed him the most, he's been at his best. And he had all 4 pitches going. They had a lot of left-handed hitters in the lineup. He kept moving the fastball in and out. He was throwing the cutter in on their hands. And then when they got worried about the pitch on the inner half of the plate, he got some weak contact on the outer half. So just an amazing performance. Guy that's always had the talent to do that, but to step up in that type of situation was really exactly what we needed, because we were pretty depleted from our bullpen from the day before. So just stepped up huge, and just really seen him grow up before our eyes.
All right, speaking of clutch performances, how about Gabe Swanson, who's become Mr. May? Just seems to come up for you guys in the most clutch situations time and time again.
Yeah, we've nicknamed him Gabe Schwabson. Just the field we feel like needs to be named after him, and then due in part as well just from his performances in that ballpark. But yeah, as the warm weather comes around, Gabe seems to be at his best. He's just a guy that Just really, really competes. And when he gets on that stage, he's not thinking. He's just acting. And he just gets in compete mode. And he's got as much talent as anybody on a roster. He's a feared slugger in the middle of the order. And man, he's had some huge swings for us in that tournament the last 2 years. Couldn't have done it without him as well.
All right, well, let's get you out of here with a look ahead to the regionals. You're in Chapel Hill, where North Carolina is the top seed and the host. But your first game is against a very familiar school to anybody who's been near Nebraska, seen sporting events against the Oklahoma Sooners. What's the early scouting report on opponent number one?
Yeah, they've finished the season strong here. Went 2-1 in the SEC tournament. We'll be facing a right-handed pitcher that can run his fastball up to 100 miles an hour. And Skip Johnson, their head coach, is known for his strong pitching staffs, and this year's no different. So we did match up with them last year, early season, old Big 12 rivals back in the day. But yeah, we're excited for the opportunity to be here. No game is more important in a regional than the first one. So just getting off to a good start. With Jackson Brockett on the mound and a lineup that's feeling really confident. We're excited about the challenge and, be ready to go.
Nebraska starting regionals against Oklahoma Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern local time. That game to be played in Chapel Hill. Nebraska head coach Will Bolt. Will, we appreciate the time. Congrats again on the Big Ten Tournament Championship, and best of luck this weekend in the regionals.
I appreciate it. Go Big Red.
Back on Big Ten today with a look at some key football matchups now locked into the 2025 schedule. Michigan makes its way to Lincoln in Week 4, which is also when Barry Odom faces Notre Dame for the first time as Purdue head coach. Week 5 sees Oregon at Penn State under the lights in the Nittany Lions annual whiteout game. USC plays at Notre Dame in Week 8. The final weekend of the season includes Friday starts for both the Iowa-Nebraska and Indiana-Purdue rivalries. Plus, the game is on Fox in its traditional Saturday noon Eastern slot. As for the full Week 3 schedule, Indiana and UCLA are set for Friday kicks, with the Hoosier game being broadcast here on the Big Ten Network. Saturday's 13-game slate includes conference matchups between Oregon and Northwestern in a Fox broadcast, as well as USC playing at Purdue. Here on the Big Ten Network, Week 3 Saturday features Michigan, Michigan State, Rutgers, and Iowa. It'll also be litmus test time for Luke Fickell and the Badgers as Wisconsin travels to Alabama to face the Crimson Tide. Welcome Jerry DiNardo back into the fold. Jerry, sometimes a schedule plays out and it is less than ideal. As you look at what Wisconsin has with that road trip to Tuscaloosa, this is a pretty tough ask for Luke Fickell in the midst of a rebuild and also making some change on his coaching staff.
Yeah, no doubt, Rick. We started the show talking about it's all about timing with schedules. And this is bad timing for Luke Fickell and Wisconsin. They have the toughest conference schedule in the Big Ten. They have one of the toughest conferences across the country of all the teams. And now they go to Alabama. Now, before they play Alabama, Miami of Ohio, MTSU, and then it's Alabama. And then after that, it's Maryland. I suggest to you that Miami of Ohio, MTSU, and Maryland will have a lot more to do with the success or lack of success with the Wisconsin team this year than the Alabama game. It's poor timing. It was put on the schedule. You obviously have to play it. You can't let it be a distraction. 3-1 looks pretty good to me with a new offense with Jeff Grimes at Wisconsin and with all the other challenges that Wisconsin will have this year. Don't get distracted by the Alabama game.
And that'll do it for Big Ten today. Appreciate you being with us, as always.